Hello, and welcome to this short video on the pronunciation of the traditional Swiss song Ranz. Now, right at the beginning of this, I want to make it very clear this video is intended for English speakers specifically, Americans to be extremely specific. With this song, we're going to have some difficulty with pronouncing some of the words and with understanding the pronunciation of some of the phrases in this song. Couple of different issues. There are some consonant and vowel sounds that we need to avoid, just so it doesn't sound silly. And there are a couple of minor alterations that I've had to make to some of the words for flow and cadence purposes. This version of Ranz is based on the Bernard Romanens version of Ranz. There is a very lovely recording of that. It's from the Winemakers Festival in the French part of Switzerland near the Gruyere region. It's from, I think, 1977, if I remember correctly. It's a very excellent recording. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend going over and finding. There's a couple of different variations on it on YouTube. I would recommend watching that. But yes, we're going to be basing our pronunciation on his rendition of the song. This entire version of the song is based on his rendition of the song. If you don't have access to the sheet music with the words for Anglophones, English speakers, written on it, just go ahead and send us a message. You can probably find our contact information somewhere, and we can send you a version, we can send you a copy of this piece of music. So this version of this song is my own arrangement. It's based on the Bernard Romanens version of the song, but it is designed to be played on alphorn and sung. So in Switzerland, generally speaking, the first note that the male tenor who is singing the melody generally sings is a B flat. This version of the song is designed to be sung and played in F, concert F, on alphorns in F. Obviously, you could move it up by a half step and you could play it in F sharp. That would work just as well. But it is, the sung version is a little bit lower than the traditional version, which is sung in the key of B flat. I wanted to make it so it could be sung by a mixed choir of either alphorns or choir, or a combination of both put together. So therefore I had to put it in the key of F or F sharp in order for the alphorns to be able to participate. So just wanted to mention that. If you listen to the Bernard Romanens version, he's going to be singing in B flat. It's going to be a bit higher pitched than the tenor one vocal part in this song is. One thing I almost forgot to mention is that we're not going to be using any sort of pedantry. This is all as plain English as I can possibly make it. So I've purposely not used any sort of phonetic markings or anything in how this is written out. I'm going to try my best not to talk in anything other than absolutely plain English. I want to make this easy to understand and easy to read. So I just wanted to get that out there. I know there are probably correct versions of everything that I'm going to say, and I don't care. I just want to make this extremely easy for the layperson to understand what's going on. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the sounds that must be avoided. These are going to be English-speaking sounds, particularly, once again, American English sounds that don't have any place in this song. There's three main ones. Basically, there's two different variations on the sound that you can make with the letter A, and then there's a sound with the letter R. So the American R, as in the sound, the word right, or, starts with a W, but wretched, that sound doesn't exist in this song. If there's any R's written in the text, they're going to be either Germanic L's, with the back of the throat, the back of the tongue. You can probably look up something somewhere to help figure out how to pronounce German R's. Americans can find that a little bit challenging sometimes. Or they're going to be a rolled sort of Latin R sound. So as in a Spanish R. Yes, so if you see the letter R anywhere in this song, it's going to be one of those. So, for example, right here at the beginning, it says, Le Sar Marie di Colombete. that's going to be les Sa-Marie di Colombetta, with the Sa-Marie. The R's in the back of the tongue, the back of the throat. Okay, so that's one. The other sound that we're going to be avoiding is going to be, or the other sounds that we're going to be avoiding are going to be the two versions of the letter A that are quite common in American English. Those are the A and the A sound, as in the word say or in the word sat. Neither of those are going to appear. It's always going to be an ah sound in the song. So yes, those are the three sounds that you need to try not to say. So there's no A's, and there's no as, and there's no ers. None of those. So avoid those, and all will hopefully be well. Okay, one helpful trick to make everything sound a little bit better is going to be to keep your tongue forward in the mouth at all times. Keep it gently touching the back of your teeth, if possible, constantly. It doesn't come particularly naturally to American speakers, which is part of the reason we're going to do it. It's going to make you sound less like an American. But you want to keep the tongue just gently touching. So if it's an open vowel sound, as in an e or an o, you want to keep that tongue touching just behind the bottom teeth. If it's a consonant sound, like a T or a D, you want to actually touch the tongue to the back of your front teeth, your top teeth. So you don't want to say te, you want to say te, with almost a th pronunciation. You don't want to say de, you want to say de. Once again, tongue pressed up against the back of the upper teeth for te and de. That's going to make things sound nicer. Or at least it's going to make things sound less English speaker-y. Now, this song, I should mention, the Bernard Romanens version of this song is in the Fribourg Patois. This is a nearly dead language, which is spoken in Freiburg in the Gruyere region of Switzerland. It's neither French, nor Italian, nor Latin, nor German. It's a mix of all sorts of different sounds and sort of flavor profiles, which gives it its own unique character. Some of the words do sound French, some of the words sound quite Italian, some of the words almost sound like English words, but it is none of these things. So it has a very unique sort of a sound to the way that it is spoken. But one thing that it does share with French is the sort of the cadence and the stress of the words. And that is particularly difficult for English speakers, because in English we accent randomly all through sentences, right? We stress random parts of random words all over the place. It's part of the reason why we can have some, literary things like Shakespeare with iambic pentameter. It's the way that things are stressed, right? French doesn't do that, and neither does the Fribourg Patois. So the stress points are not necessarily, if you were to read the original text, the places where the stress is put on the words are not necessarily going to be exactly where you would expect them to be. So, at different points in the song, I have either taken multiple short words and smushed them together to make one longer word so that there will only be one stress point. As an American speaker, we're going to tend to stress a word in one place. So I've changed the words to make it so that we'll stress the correct spot, or we're more likely to stress the correct spot reading it on the page. At other times, there are words that are supposed to be longer words, which I've broken into a series of shorter words so that each one will be stressed or weighted equally in the song, as opposed to what we would tend to do, which is take a hard stab at the first part of the word and then let the rest of the word turn to mush. One other thing that I would like to mention about the way that this particular rendition of the song is going to be is that there are two main ways, if you are singing Ranz de Vaches, there are two main ways to express the F up at the top of the staff. If the song has more Alphorn influence, a lot of singers will actually sing the Alphorn Fa, slightly lowered major 7. Up at the top there. So it'll go Lyoba, Lyoba, pora, yo. Bernard Romanens does not use that version. He uses an actual F as opposed to an F sharp or anything in between those two. So it's going to be Lyoba, Lyoba, Porayo. So if you're going to play this piece of music on alp horns and have it sung by a choir at the same time, you're probably going to need to lift up that F in order to be in tune with the alp horns. I don't think we can ask the alp horn players to lower the F far enough to be in tune with the choir. They're probably going to chip the note, and it's obviously a perfectly lovely sounding note on the alp horn anyway. But yes, so if you go on to listen to the renditions of this song that are also on YouTube on our channel, you're going to hear that F down a little lower than it's played on the alp horn. Just wanted to mention that so everybody's on the same page. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to speak the entire song straight through. I'm not going to take any of the repeats or anything. I'm just going to talk all of the words out loud in a normal speaking voice, just so you can hear the pronunciation. So, starting at the top here, we're going to say Le sa Marie di Colombete de bon matin c'est chaud les hancs. And then the next bit here, it says ha-o, ah-o. Those are all slurred together, and they're very subtle changes in the pronunciation of that. So you're going to say ha-o, just very slight. And it makes more sense if you do it with the music. Ha-o. Just very, very slight changes there. So don't say ha-o, ah-o. No, it's not that. It's just slight changes. I should mention that on the music, when you see the slashes, those indicate a sort of a stopped sound, as quite common in French. So this B-O-H with a slash is bon. This M-A-T-A with a slash is matin. So that indicates that on, that back of the throat through the nose, sort of French sounding sound. So that's what all the slashes in the song mean. Moving forward. All right, so this next part of the song is the part of the song that I'm least happy with the way that I've been able to write it out, but I'm afraid I simply can't think of any way to write it more clearly. So this next bit is the Lyoba section of the song. Now, we are not going to be pronouncing that Lyoba. The L's in that are very light. They're almost non-existent. It basically is just going to be a scoop up into the note. So it's going to be Lyoba. So virtually no L at all. And in any case, the L is pronounced sort of between an L and a Y. So yes, that's one thing. And then the second thing is that the second half of both of these phrases, I've struggled and I've rewritten it several different ways, and I'm not happy with any of them. But the way that the way that we're going to be pronouncing it is going to be bon rayon, which is not correct. It's actually supposed to be po arion, but it's really hard to sing that if you don't quite understand how they're supposed to be pronounced. So we're just going to go with a slightly simplified version, which will sound very close to correct, particularly if you're singing in a choir. So the next bit here is Lyoba, Lyoba, oh, rayo, and that P at the beginning of that, depending on which version of the music you have, it might not even have a P written in, because I have shied away from actually putting a P in there because people have a tendency to accent it far too much. It's a very light P. Porayo, porayo. Even then, it's almost too much P. It's hard for me to speak it as opposed to singing it. And then, so once again, Lyoba, Lyoba, porayo. Hope that's relatively clear. Moving forward. This next bit of the song is probably the hardest for people to keep up with. Once again, I'm just going to talk through it, say the words out loud. Hopefully it makes sense. I'll try to be clear. So, we have Vini, sorry, I'm just going to talk through it. Vini de tote, biants et nere, rats et motele, tsufan et utre. And I should mention at this point, I did say at the beginning that the R's are all either sort of Germanic R's or they're rolled R's. I'm not going to be too particular about which one you choose to put where, as long as it's one of those two and not an American So if you say vini de tote biancet nere ratzet motele sufan et utre, I don't really care. Just make sure that you use one of those two versions of the R and not an American So one more time. Vini de tote bianc et nere ratzet motele sufan et utre. And then the next bit here. De jash insana yo vajario, de jash intrabio yo itrazzo. I'll say that one more time, slightly slower. De jash insana yo vajario, de jash intrabio yo itrazzo. Okay, final section. Les shon aire vont les premiere, les totenere vont les derere. And that last word there is stretched over several notes. So it's actually going to be derere. Quite a long way on that e. Now I should mention at this point, there are several words in this song that end in an EH. Americans seem to find this very difficult. Americans want to say a, as in say, a. It's not a, it's as in the word me, or the word death. You want that very flat sound. You don't want to have any a, no y and no a sound in there at all. It wants to be So that's les chonailles vont les premières, les totenere vont les derere. Once again, as in the word me. I think that's the only English word I could think of off the top of my head that actually ends in an EH and has the correct sound that we're looking for. But yes, it comes somewhat unnaturally. Once again, definitely go over and listen to Bernard Romanens singing this song. If you want to get yourself a copy of the music and you want to listen to the song with this in front of you so that you can, make your own marks. Maybe some of these pronunciations that I've written out don't make quite as much sense to you as I might have hoped. Yeah, just once again, please send us an email at sierrahorns@gmail.com. We're also can be contacted at sierrahorns.org, our website, if you'd like to have a copy of the PDF for the music. No problem with that at all. It doesn't cost anything. I'll send it to you for free. So now just really quickly, I'm going to sing through the tenor part of the song. So you can hear what it sounds like when it is sung, because it's going to sound a little bit different than when it's spoken. Okay, apologies for my slightly terrible singing voice. I'm afraid I gassed myself a little bit yesterday with some glue while building an alp horn. So bear with me. I'll try not to sound too terrible. Here we go, from the top. Les amari di colombete de bon matin séchant les rangs. Lyoba, Lyoba, Porayo. Lyoba, Lyoba, Porayo. Vini de tote biancet nere ratzet motele sufan et utre. Deja shinsana yo vajario, deja shintrabio yo itrazzo. Lyoba, Lyoba, Porayo. Lyoba, Lyoba, Porayo. Les chonailles vont les premières, les totenere vont les derrière. Lyoba, 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 All right, I hope that's relatively clear. I hope that makes good sense. Hope I didn't screw anything up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact us. And I can't stress enough, if you'd like a copy of the music, feel free to contact us and we'll send it over to you. Okay, I think that's just about everything that I wanted to cover. Bye.